Good morning, everybody. This is Kim Hickey with your daily live at 9 briefing. I can't even believe this is May 18th. I'm already fast forwarding into next Monday for being off for Memorial Day weekend. Lots of excitement with that. So today we have a really cool thing going on, and I think this is something we're going to want to repeat and maybe do on your service advisors page live coming up soon. But we have a few guests with us this morning, and of course our senior performance coach and all things wonderful, Mr. Brian Hunnicutt. And then we have a panel this morning of some very talented service managers, advisors that are going to be joining us. And we want you to type in and objections, whether it be to price or the sale or time, whatever it is, that some of the objections you receive at your shop, and our panel of experts there will overcome the objection for you. So we have George. I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm going to say George L. with Bob's Main Street Auto and Towing, Jared McPike with In Motion Auto Care, Sean Purcell with Jason Clay from Scott Ivy's Exxon, and Matt Higgs from Fifth Gear Automotive. So without further ado, we're going to get started. I'll be watching the comments, so please start typing in your objections for our panel to overcome. Brian?
All right. So good morning, everybody. So these four people actually really know what they're doing. They are the cream of the crop, some of the best of the best. So I'm hoping that everybody gets in the big bus. I'm not talking about a special bus. I'm talking about the big bus and just tries to run them over. If you have any objections that you've ran across that was sideways, lengthways, I don't care what ways, let's see what we can do to them. I want to see how good they really are. So we all know that overcoming objections, sales objections, it's a big topic, but it really, to me, it boils down to three things. It's going to be time, money, or I'm getting rid of that car. And then there's a million variations and subheadings and all of the other stuff, like, I got to talk to my spouse. So I'm going to let you hold up your hand, and I'm going to let you pick one of those four. Any one of you want to go first?
Sure, I can go.
Shoot.
The one where you said talking to your spouse, that just means you didn't do a good job from the get-go. When the customer was written up, you should have said, who's the decision maker? Who should I call to find out what repairs we're going to be doing today? So that was a bad write-up.
Oh, okay, so you're saying that overcoming the sales objection on that one is more about doing your due diligence to begin with.
Right. I mean, a lot of times you have a son or a daughter dropping the car off, and all you had to ask is, hey, who's going to be approving these repairs, or who needs to know everything? Because a lot of times you'll have them drop off, and you'll send the report to them, and you'll talk to them, and they'll say, hey, my dad's paying for this, or my mom's paying for this. So you just wasted a bunch of time. You should have just said from the get-go, who do I need to talk to about these repairs?
I love it. Any one of the three of you got a different point of view on it?
Why don't we let Jared tell us how long he's been doing this? When you guys start out for the first time, why don't you tell us how long you've been doing this? And
yeah, give us a little story about yourselves.
Sure. I've been in the business for about 15 years and started off as a technician and worked my way up to a service advisor and a co-owner here. So I've been doing about 15 years.
That's awesome. And one other thing on what you said, Jared, to get to your point about that, is that when you don't know who it is to speak to, it's an easy part of the conversation when you're doing your customer intake in the morning and your walk around, to say, is there anybody else that you'd like me to include in the distribution for the email of the courtesy inspection, right? The DVI is a really nice way to say, who's going to be the boss of this decision, right? All right, somebody else was ready to go next. I think it was Jason. I interrupted him.
Oh, that's okay. I'll go with time. There's no better time than the now to take care of any repairs or preventative maintenance. At Bob's Auto, we've got loaner cars, so it's always nice to have that kind of, if they are stuck with time and they need a vehicle, you just basically sell the job, put them in a car, and get it taken care of right away, instead of waiting until something were to happen to the vehicle.
The time objection is actually really easy right now because people aren't going anywhere. They're stuck at home. So we offer to go pick the car up and bring it to the shop, work on it, and take it back to them. So there's no real time objection at all that can't be overcome because they don't need their car. They're not going anywhere.
That's true.
Okay, so George, back to you. Who are you and how long you been around and all that good stuff?
I'm George. I've been with Bob's Main Street Auto going on 6 years. I actually started with the company driving a tow truck. I had a full-time sales position at another company, and I just wanted to try driving a tow truck, and that didn't last very long until I became a service advisor. Now I run the other location. So,
Love it. Jason, how about you?
This go around, it's been about 3 years. My parents own the business, and I had, before first go around was about 10 years, just kind of grew up in it. Then after I graduated college, decided I needed to go do some other things for a while, and worked for Wells Fargo, worked for Verizon, and decided I hated corporate America, so came back. And been about 3 years this go around, and are in the process of trying to take over the business.
Cool, love it. And while we're on it, go ahead, Matt.
I've been in the business about 20 years now. Been at fifth gear just over a year. Most of the time I was with, smaller independent shops or a couple different dealers, luxury dealers. So here I am now, loving it.
That's cool. And why don't you take money?
Biggest thing with money is, people are kind of afraid to spend some of it right now. The biggest objection is always money, I think, in our side of the business. Finding a budget is the biggest thing for me. If you can find a budget, you can find a way to make something work for them, and take care of what we need to take care of. We do a lot of investing in the company and the customer, so they can invest in their car, finding value in the car, finding value in the repair.
So how do you determine the customer's budget?
You got to be good at asking those questions, get that budget out of them. There's a budget in there somewhere. They know they're coming in to spend a little bit of money, and, they may have more of a budget than you think they do.
And how much does it play into, setting the previous visit, when you're setting the next appointment for them to come in and laying out the groundwork of this is what's going to be coming up next, this is what it's going to cost, so that they're prepared. How do you feel like that ties into things and helps make the sale easier?
Yeah, absolutely. Advising is very important during that exit strategy, to set the appointment and go ahead and prep all of that work. All the scheduled maintenance stuff is really simple when you've got pretty decent prices already built and the estimate's already there for them. So you give them a copy of that on your exit, and they're set to go next time.
Perfect. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right, we have our first question coming in.
Yay.
So Jim Bennett says his advisors frequently get, I'm deploying for 6 months and the car will be parked and I'll get everything done fresh when I return from my military deployment. Who wants that one?
And that's throwing you under the bus big time right there. Don't all speak at once, gentlemen. Come on.
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hear it. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have a radio on or something in there? There's like a background.
No, I've got my advisors working this morning.
Oh, good. Okay. Jim Bennett, one of the things that Jim Bennett's advisors run into is they have a lot of military personnel. So when they present them with the estimate and the things that need to get done, they say, I'm going to be deployed for 6 months. It's just going to be parked. I'll take care of it when I get back. And then just start fresh then. It looks like
Jason.
Jason's got his hand up. You got to unmute, Jason.
Sorry, I thought somebody had muted me. One thing you could attempt anyway would be, you're going to be gone for 6 months. The last thing you want to do when you get back is wait for your car to be done. You're going to want to go out, you're going to want to go do things. You're going to want to have a reliable car. So if your car's taken care of right now, it'll be good to go when you get back. You won't have that worry when you get back and want to just go out and enjoy your freedom for a little bit.
Okay. I might even add into that one, get it taken care of now. And as a part of getting it taken care of now, arrange for me to be able to get into your, access to your car. And I'll be more than glad to make sure that the battery and everything is up to speed so that you have no problems when you do get back. And I'll put it on my appointment calendar right now.
And maybe even wash it too.
I like that. Yes.
I like that. And what about if it's going to be truly sitting, some kind of fuel additive before they go and those kind of add-ons too. And what a perfect opportunity for that pickup and delivery, as Brian just mentioned, for, let's get it picked up as a follow-up and looked at it, washed it. I love that. Bring it back. So Jim, hopefully that answers your, okay. Got another one. We can't use can't we use one of your loaner vehicles when we get back? Okay. So I guess what Jim's saying is when they get back from deployment, they want to use a loaner vehicle. I don't know. I'm not really understanding that one. Sorry. They're stored on a base secured parking lot. Okay. So I guess, you're going to have to figure right now for the second part of the pickup and delivery at the end to look at it is, do they have a spouse or somebody that can meet them at the gate, or friend or significant other? I know my son's in the military and they do that stuff all the time. So David Nick says to have cold beer ready for them. Okay. I'll keep an eye on this one. Anybody else have anything to add to that one? And what a great conversation, and a good thing that, we should be working on as a team and in our 20 groups and at ATI. What about coming up with a specific program for you're in the military and here's what we're going to do for you. And this is what we do when you're deployed and here's how we handle it and all of that good stuff. So
I have something to add about that too. If it's true that they're going to take care of it in 6 months when they get back, then I think that's where the appointment schedule process right there really comes into play. So you need to make sure that appointment is actually made for 6 months from then, and your email marketing is sending them a reminder a week before they get back, that kind of thing, to make sure that it's still top of mind.
Perfect. Make sure that follow up. Bruce Nation's saying there may be other things that should be done to prepare for sitting. So, it's still an opportunity for sure. So, and I love that, Jared, make sure follow up, and that you're flagged in your system to look for it. So, okay.
So what everybody was talking about value to begin with, value. And while we're waiting for some more questions to come up, so let's talk about the customer value proposition. So everybody, each store should have a true customer value proposition, why somebody should do business with you. As writers, owners out there, you basically need to pull out your old customer value proposition. You need to go through it. You need to ask everybody under your roof right now, why should somebody do business with you? What's in it for the customer to be, becoming your customer? Right now, with all of the different processes that have changed, the quote new fantastic, the new normal, whatever you want to call it, there's a whole lot more different reasons why somebody should do business with you versus your competition nowadays. So why don't we have all of the employees engage on that level? Why don't we dust off the old customer value proposition and make a new one, and then have it by the phone, so that anytime that you're talking to a prospective customer, we're going to go through a couple of those based on what kind of personality type they have. When they come in to drop the vehicle off and you're doing the walk around, you're going to, put a couple more value propositions out there. When you're making the presentation, make a couple more value propositions out there. When you're doing your marketing, start flowing back and forth and up and down on the customer value proposition, so your marketing doesn't get stale. A lot of us actually keep pushing out kind of the same content, whereas we could be actually changing our marketing content based on a customer value proposition and all of the different points of that. Because I really think that, what they said to begin with, as far as, creating value, is truly how you overcome the objections to begin with anyway, right?
Yep. And David Nix, just adding to that, if you're going to, cater to military or put together a program to deal with your military customers, he said, make sure they know that you'll take care of their vehicle while they're gone. It was a big relief for him when he was gone for the 20 years that he served. He didn't have to worry about his spouse breaking down. So, great things to be touching upon. And for anybody, not just military, great angle, right? We'll take care of everything so you don't have to worry about breaking down. And yes, Brian, the value proposition, and one of the things that we've talked about is the things that you've been doing all along. Make sure you say that too. So, because there's a lot of people on the bandwagon now that are doing all kinds of things that they only just started because they were desperate and needed to, that you have all been doing all along, like loaner cars and, cleaning things and having the best possible service and all of that stuff. So make sure that in your marketing and your things, we've always done this. We've always provided you because we've always cared about you. Since the beginning, we've always provided this service for you. Now it's enhanced due to whatever, but want to get that across that this is not something new. You providing exceptional service and going over and above and wanting to wow them for sure.
Okay, what about overcoming the objection of I'm getting rid of the car?
I can speak to that. What I tell customers is, well, let's just assume they actually still like the car. Because if they don't like the car, if they're sick and tired of it, then in my opinion, it might be best for them to get rid of it. But one sales technique I use sometimes, if I think it's a good car and if I think it's something that they should keep, is I say, all right, well, let's say you're going to spend $15,000 on buying a new used car. You have no idea if it's in good shape or bad shape. Maybe we find a car that has 60,000 miles on it. It's 8 years old and it's $5,000 to buy, right? The cool thing about this car is that every single maintenance item has been fixed on it and every single repair that needs to be done has been fixed. So there's nothing wrong with it. And then I say, would you be interested in that car? And most of the time they say yes. And then I say, great, your car will be done in a week. Now, I'm joking when I say that, but that's the mindset I try and get my customers into is, hey, if you really actually still like your car, why don't you just buy this used car that you already have, that you already like, and you already know what's good about it and what's bad about it.
I like that one. That's smooth right there. Come on, gentlemen, let's go. Go, George. Unmute yourself.
Usually what I do with the customers is anytime that, before I go into the whole spiel, I ease the conversation and give them compliments on their vehicle. I mean, it could be a 97 Chevy Cavalier, but to them, it's obviously, it could be a potential of fixing. So I just get, go off topic, kind of get a little story behind it, see exactly what they're doing. A lot of people pass it down to their kids and they're kind of indecisive if they're getting rid of it or if they're not. Then I just go from there and I start to build value on the vehicle, as long as the vehicle is sound. I mean, here in Wisconsin, we got a lot of corrosion, a lot of rust. If the subframe's hanging out of it and it's just not worth it, well then, unfortunately, we have to be the bearer of bad news and give them that information. But otherwise, usually, once you tell the customer, as far as, it's a great car, this is what it needs to keep it on the road, it kind of settles them down a little bit as far as a financial standpoint, and they kind of would rather invest the money into that car than buying a new vehicle. I mean, it's worked for me in the past, but sometimes, like Jared was saying, sometimes their mind's already made up, but there's ways of kind of persuading them into maybe just sticking a little bit more money into it, getting another year or two out of it. So that's helped us a lot.
Matt, Jason, either one of you got anything?
Yeah, I find that a lot of people will say that they want to get rid of the car just because they don't want to spend any money. You got to find the root cause. The root cause a lot of times is that they just don't want to spend any money. So what we do to get over that objection would be to, start talking about all the good. We, on our digital courtesy checks, we list all the good first, and we do that for a reason, because people need to know that the car is in good shape. They need to know that there are some redeeming qualities to their car. And then you got to talk to them about why they like that car, why they bought that car in the first place. If they still like the car, then why not put the money into it? It's just a matter of finding the root cause of the reason they don't want to spend the money and then addressing that. A lot of times what I'll do is, after I give them all the good, all the coming soon, and then the things that they need to repair now, shut up. Tell them what they need and then stop talking. A lot of times they will talk themselves into that repair for you, so you don't have to do anything. I've seen so many service advisors just talk and talk and talk and just stop talking. Let the customer do. People don't like the awkward silence, so they'll say yes a lot of times to break that silence. So it's important to be upfront. It's important to tell them what's good with their car, but it's also important to stop talking.
And the beauty of that is, like you said, the silence. That was the very first thing I learned, I think, and when I was 18 and started kind of anything to do with sales, was whoever talks first loses. For sure. Great points about, you really have to find out what is the reason, because a lot of people just say no or make excuses because they don't know what to ask. And all of these things, I'm gonna get on my soapbox again for a second here. In the walk around, all of these things in the walk around. You know what the car means to them. You know how long they want to keep it. You know what they use it for. You know what's important to them. All of those things on the walk around. So when that objection comes, it's not even an objection. You know exactly what to say. Jim Bennett has been paying attention to all the Live at Nines and webinars. He dropped in there about the true cost to own calculator. Stacy says her favorite is the car's not worth it after giving them $1,000 estimate, and it's only got 100,000 on it. So Jim's saying, sometimes we think it's not worth it for them, but we don't know the sentimental value. Bruce Nation says, tell them that if you take what they can sell for now, add the repair cost to that, you will not be able to buy that car, a car that good, tax and license and all of that. So all really great points. Could tell everybody's paying attention and listening in classes and all of that stuff. So the walk around, people. Walk around. Talk to your people. Build that relationship. Ask them about the car and sound like you care. And you better care, because they're your customer. So we're not getting a lot of objections typed in. We have a lot of advice. So does anybody have any objections that your service advisors come to with you a lot? Can those of you that are typing in, can you go walk over to your service advisor and say, what's the number one objection you get, or give an example of one? But the advice is great. I'm glad you're doing it. But
so, all right. So while we're waiting, then does anybody want to share their best sales pitch on whatever it is they want to sell? I know we didn't plan for that, but I mean, think about it. Anybody got something that's just sweet? Okay, sorry.
while they're thinking, Stacy's asking, how do we do a walk around when the customer's not present? So does anybody want to answer that before I jump in there and start on my... What do you do? How do you handle that if a customer's not there, the things that you normally would do during a walk around?
And your digital inspection process is very important in that. And we've done some FaceTime, some Skype type walk-arounds with customers, get them out underneath the vehicle, and we can save it and send it to them, or we can actually do it while they're live and in person, just like we are right now. We've done some stuff with insurance companies that way as well.
Great point. Video is a great thing. I mean, we have this wonderful technology now, right, that we can video everything. You can do it on Zoom, on all the tablets, all of it, to actually do the walk around on there. Hopefully when you're scheduling the appointment and they're dropping it off, that you can have a conversation with them if they're a new customer. and really make every effort to, hopefully a brand new customer for the first time is not just, dropping off the vehicle and running and you're not getting to spend time. So definitely use those tools that you have. Back to you, Brian. Somebody was going to answer you and I interrupted them to read.
I believe Jared was fixing to chime in.
Oh, sure. I don't know if it's my best sales presentation, but I sure do like selling ball joints. Mostly because technicians like doing them and they're pretty good money makers. And the way I describe a ball joint to a customer is a ball joint is the hip of the body. So when you turn your body, the hip obviously flexes and turns just like on a car. And if your hip ever goes out of its socket, it's incredibly painful. And same thing happens with the ball joint. If it ever actually breaks, it's incredibly painful and leads to more costly repairs. So I don't know if it's a good one. I just like doing that one.
Nope, I don't see. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I love that. People know what a hip joint looks like for whatever reason. We all seen enough skeletons in the closet, I guess.
I love that. I've never thought of using that analogy. What a visual, right? Because sales is emotion. It doesn't matter skills, everything else. Sales is emotion, and so giving somebody a visual and something that they can relate to creates an emotional reaction, right? Because really what we sell is customer reactions. The repairs and maintenance is just the vehicle we have to do that with, but we're selling a reaction. So my gosh, I'm staring at a hip bone socket in my head now. That's fantastic.
What about assuming the sale, gentlemen? Give me something where you're assuming the sale. So George, you don't ever hear an objection even. I've heard you sell hardcore. You don't even pay attention to their objections. So aren't you just assuming the sale by not paying attention to their objections?
Yeah, what I do is, I obviously build the estimate, I go through it, and what you guys were saying before, just be quiet. It's awkward, let them talk. If there's no talking, go back into it. Same thing, same spiel, shut up, be quiet. And then they'll let them make the decision. As far as you're taking control of the sale, and then just start taking small things off and say, well, what about taking care of the safety, some preventative maintenance, go with that spiel. Sometimes, it's $500, $600 less. It's huge for some people. And then they go ahead and they go for it. Hopefully that answers your question.
Nope, that does.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Just like what George was saying, you always start with the big pile. You tell them everything and just say, this is what your car needs to be in tip-top shape. If money is truly an issue, then you could start chipping things away. But the important thing is to make sure that their car leaves and it's safe. Some of the maintenance things can be pushed back if you need to, but I think maintenance is the most important thing you can do on your car anyway. So you should always try to get that. Even if something is broken, always get the maintenance with it, because that's going to keep the car going as well as the repair. So it's just a matter of finding out at the walk around what's important to them, and then also finding out what their plans are for the car, and making it a point to tell them, this is how your car is going to be safe, this is how your car is going to be reliable.
One of my owners actually made the statement, he's like, if it needs brakes in 3 months, they'll come back for the brakes in 3 months, do the maintenance now.
Yep.
So Brian, you brought up about the assumptive close, which big surprise is my favorite, because I just assume they're getting the stuff done. I don't even think about it. What are some of the other closing techniques does everybody use besides the assumptive close?
One thing I was going to say is that if you're having trouble with your numbers, there's something psychological about ordering the parts before you sell it. Now that could get you in trouble because you have tons of parts to return, but service advisors, if they order the part, I don't know, there's something about it that makes them assume the sale more and it just kind of changes their approach. I've tried it in the past, and it's worth trying if you guys are having problems with that.
I love that idea. Just get the parts order and know, and because it's a big headache to return all this stuff, right? What about, do any of you use the asking the no means yes questions, like saying, well, gosh, Brian, if I can have this ready for you by 4 o'clock today, is there any reason we can't get started on that for you? Anybody use that one?
No.
I mean, usually anytime that I try to make the sale, I always put the ball in their court and say, so should we, at the end of my spiel, so should we get this going for you right away? Do you need a car at all? What can I do to get this, get the vehicle back on the road? Another thing too is you got to be confident. As customers can, even if they're not face to face, they can hear it in your voice on the other line. If you're not confident in what you're selling, or if you're not confident in your digital inspection, you might flop. So I think another thing, as far as confidence is huge key into making the sale. If you're confident enough, there should be no reason why you can't make the sale.
Absolutely. If you believe in what you do, right, your job is to educate the customer. Their job is to decide whether they want to take your advice and listen to your education. And so if you have faith in what you're saying and confidence, then what you're saying is true in the best interest of the customer and their vehicle. There isn't any reason that you can't shine through with that, for sure. What about bandwagon? Who uses a bandwagon close?
Not often, but I have used it. Most customers with your type of car and your age car are doing these repairs because it makes their car last longer, but it's not something that I do very often. But you can tell that some people respond to that. So it's good
to have a few
thing.
different techniques in your toolkit, right? I mean, to have some different ways to go at it too.
I like the feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. Other people, they felt that same way, but I found that if you take care of it, it works. Old Carnegie trick. What about diagnostics? So what are y'all doing to actually get people to buy more diagnostic time?
It's a pretty easy one most of the time. I mean, when you get it in, we do a lot of quick checks, get the car in the door, and, we'll pull a code just like anybody else will. Once we get that code, then we can actually go into them and say, hey, we've got to jump into the system a little deeper. We've got to have some time. If we start with an hour, typically we can figure out what's going on within that hour. We may need more after that. If we just lead with that.
But how do you get more after that? The hour, most people don't have a problem with, or getting the initial. So, but after the hour.
And we're not selling it by the hour, right? You're just using that terminology because we're on here together amongst peers. We're not selling by time, hours, right? So just so in case somebody's going to be like, you guys told us don't do that, because we're speaking freely here and amongst ourselves. We're using that terminology. So don't go back to your counter and be like, I'm selling an hour. We can get it done.
So, Jason.
So real quick, in selling diagnostic, I never try not to position it as diagnostic, try to position it as tests. So it's showing value. This is based on which code you have, which we don't pull codes just to pull codes. If somebody comes in with a check engine diagnostic, we tell them that it's going to be $160 for the initial test. The initial test will give us the area to which we need to focus. At that point, that initial test may tell us what the problem is. However, it may require additional testing after that. Let's start with the 160, and then I'll call you at the end of that test to tell you what else we need.
So what all do you include in your initial test?
It depends on what the code is. So, I mean, if it's an EVAP code, then the initial test is going to include a smoke test. So it just kind of depends on what it is. If it's a misfire, it'll include swapping a plug and a coil. That's what's included in the initial test. It just depends on the code. So I'm very non-committal about that because it could be 1,000 different things, but at the same time, you have to show value and show what they're getting for that $160. Just, I mean, throwing out a number. If it's $160 for initial test, you better be sure you tell them I did this, 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 and this for that $160. These are the things that I need to do going forward for the other $160 or whatever the amount is.
I have something to say about that too. Diagnostics is about trust between your service advisor and your technician. So if I don't trust my technician, I don't have any confidence selling more diagnostic time. So in my opinion, it's super easy to sell more diagnostic time as long as you trust your technician. And I mean, what we do is we'll, just like Jason said, we'll let them know, here's the testing that we've performed so far. Here's what we know is good. So I give them a positive. I know that your engine computer is good and your spark plugs are good. Now I need to test out your fuel pump and the wiring and blah, 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 blah. And the fee for that testing is another $300. As long as you trust your technician and they've proven that, you know, you two have a good relationship and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, then selling extra diag is no problem.
Okay, so when the customers are saying, well, I can get the codes pulled free at AutoZone or AMCO or whatever, and and now you want another $300? I mean, what do you say to put their mind at ease?
Yes, you can absolutely get that code pulled at AutoZone, but that's just going to tell you the area in which you need to start testing. All AutoZone is going to do is tell you it's a check engine light for an oxygen sensor and sell you an oxygen sensor. They're not going to put the oxygen sensor in for you, and they're not going to guarantee that that's going to fix your problem. Do you want to know what your problem is, and do you want to know how to fix it, or do you want to just throw parts at it until you finally find out what it is?
Yeah, a sales technique I've been using lately is pulling a code is like giving a zip code to a mailman. So we know what area this person's located because we know the zip code. So we know what area we need to look at when we're trying to diagnose your car. But the actual testing, the fee for it, gets us down to the exact street address so we know exactly what's wrong.
Love that. Love that. I have one that I hear a lot from service advisors and the owners when I talk to them during the week. They tell me, Kim, I can sell maintenance to somebody that had a big repair. So if they have to do a transmission, then they say, I can't sell, maintenance along with that. They're already spending $3,000 on a transmission. I can't ask them to spend more in maintenance. What do you guys say to that?
Typically that's a pretty easy sell because you can go straight in and say, hey, maybe if the maintenance would have been 100% on that transmission, you wouldn't have to have this huge repair. Kind of prep it like that. Make sure you start doing all the maintenance on the entire vehicle so you don't have these huge repairs.
Awesome.
Love that.
Anybody else have anything else on that one?
Well, if it's the transmission that they're replacing, I mean, like Matt was saying, I mean, you can always, when you're selling maintenance, preventative maintenance, especially at transmission fluid exchanges, just tell them the cost of doing the transmission fluid exchange comparable to doing the actual transmission or the differentials or anything like that. It kind of puts it into perspective for a customer and they realize, hey, I should definitely get this taken care of. I mean, I just stuck a transmission to it. I might as well take care of the differentials. I'd hate to put a rear diff or a front diff in something that I already stuck $3,000 into. So
absolutely. Yep. And then also, saying about you're making this investment in the vehicle, obviously you want to keep it. So in order to protect that investment, let's go ahead and do these other maintenance services now. And I love your approach too of this is what it costs. Both of you kind of alluded to the same thing. So, pretty simple of, $250 now will save you $3,000 next time, but I don't know which way do you want to go. So perfect. Okay. Let's see here. Tim Bennett's got some more advice for you or more selling tips. David Nix has 4 levels. I typed something in. How many of you have diagnostic levels set up at your shop? If you don't have that, you need to. Really helps with part of the sales process, as you just heard these gentlemen say about when they're going back to ask for more diagnostic time. if you set the expectation up front that this is a level 1, this is the things we're going to be looking at, and if need be, we might be coming back for. So anybody want to talk about what their favorite service is to sell, and what's your power close or your wow line for that one? Quiet group this morning, huh? All right, Matt, what's your favorite thing to sell, and what's your line that makes them buy it every time?
Make it difficult for me. I guess I've got a couple different things that I like to sell. I mean, really anything. But
pick one thing you like to sell.
You know, I get into the steering and suspension quite a bit, so I'll go with that, I guess. You know, steering and suspension's you know, a safety issue at most points. So, you know, right now in the digital, you know, inspections that we do, we're taking a lot of videos, and you know, I refer back to that video, you know, in that sales pitch, and hey, did you look at this video? If not, you know, let's look at it together. So we'll pull it up and look at it together, and you know, as soon as they start seeing that movement that we see, you know, it's pretty home run most of the time. So.
Love it. Love it. How about you, Jason?
I don't know. I don't really think that I've got a favorite thing to sell. I really like things that give me better profit margin. But it kind of just depends on the customer. Every customer is a little bit different, and how you approach it is always different. So there's no home run hit that I do to get it. It's just a matter of being familiar with your customer, and you know, knowing their buying habits is the biggest thing. Know what's important to them. Is it going fast? Is it safety? Is it convenience? Once you know that, then you can sell them whatever you want to sell them, as long as they're willing to keep the car. So it's just a matter of finding out
Excuse
their.
me.
Bless you.
Thank you. It's
Just a matter
allergy
of-
season in Florida. It's not Rona.
That's what they all say.
Great. Thank you, Jason. Jared, what's your favorite buying personality, or the one that you feel is easiest to sell to and explain things to?
For me personally, I enjoy the people that don't want to hear anything. The ones that just say, how much is it? What's wrong? And then they say yes or no. Because as long as I've built up a trust factor with them, the sales process is very easy. On the flip side, the people that are engineers for the profession, and they want to know every single thing about their car, and those are tough for me. And that's probably just because I have a different personality than them. I don't enjoy going into details because, in my opinion, most customers don't care about details. They don't care what a ball joint is. They care what a ball joint does, you know. They don't care what a timing belt is. They care what happens if it doesn't break, or if it breaks, you know what I mean? So the ones that I enjoy are the ones that we've built up a good level of trust, and I say, you need to fix these things, and they just say, okay.
Gee, I wonder, is that not anybody else's favorite customer, the one that's just saying you need to fix this, and they go, okay. So you brought up a really good point, right, about matching your, you know, one of the things we have to do as service advisors is match our emotional intensity level and also the language they need to speak in, right, which is why we have to understand their buying personalities. And as you just stated about the engineer, most salespeople by nature are intuitive and score higher on the intuitive scale. But if you were not intuitive and you're analytical, you really have to watch that, because just as your engineer customer wants to know every little detail, you have to really be careful as a service advisor, right? And if you're intuitive, to be explaining every little detail, because most people don't want to know. And what's the saying? No one wants to know how the sausage is made. We want to eat it, but nobody wants to know how it's made, right? So you have to be really careful about overwhelming your customer with details. They don't most of the time need it or want it. George, what's your favorite buying personality to work with, and why?
Well, there's a couple. I like the ones that are mechanics, or they say they're mechanics, but they can't figure out what's going on with their car. And then you end up selling them suspension, preventative maintenance. It's always a good home run for me. As well as I like to educate, the younger generation about what these components do to their vehicle, why you're investing the money into the car. Because a lot of, especially the younger generation these days, all they see is a dollar amount. They don't know what they're spending it on. And if you just educate them a little bit, they tend to relax and open up their pockets a little bit more. So and then the ones that, nobody can sell to, those are my favorite, because even if I get, a little bit on the side, it's always a huge, it's a win for me. So
that's always been like game on for me when someone's like, I can't sell, they won't buy anything. It's like, hold my beer, watch me. I wish somebody would say that every time to me, for sure, because it's just like, it's on. What about stuff you're most passionate about? I mean, we've all had things happen in our life that makes us more passionate about a repair or topic or anything. And I know that very early on in my career, before I started in the automotive, I was still going to school, I threw a rod in my engine because I didn't have enough oil in it, in my 70s Chevy Nova. And I can tell you that when I joined the automotive industry, I was very passionate about the importance of routine oil services and making sure that, for sure, that was something I know, even though it wasn't on purpose, I sold much better and much more of, because I was so passionate about it because of what happened to me, and my experience. And I think, all of us bring that with us. There's something that, it's not so much you like selling better, but you can connect to it more because something personally happened, or you saw something happen with a friend's vehicle or something. Do you guys have any services like that you're like, boy, this happened to me, so I'm really passionate when I talk about it? No one's done dumb things to their car, just me.
I had, when I was younger, I had no interest in automotive stuff at all. I remember my dad took my truck to Jiffy Lube. I don't know if I can say that or not, but whatever. And the clutch almost fell out. And so my dad paid him to put the clutch back in, because it was falling out. And I remember later on when I learned that there's no way that could actually happen without actually pulling the transmission out, I became, I don't know, I think I got into this business partly because it gets a bad rap, because people aren't, they're not as honest as they should be. And one of my goals, or one of my passions, is to give the automotive industry a better name and be that honest person that people can trust and look forward to for advice.
Love it, love it, love it. Anyone else have a story they want to share about a repair service they're passionate about and why? What about visual? You got one, Jason?
Yeah, I've got one. So we use BG services, and I'm a huge advocate of BG services. We've had numerous customers that were religious about doing their services, and brake caliper fails, and BG pays for it. Transmission fails, BG pays for it. It's they stand behind their products in a way that makes you feel good about selling it, and pushing that extra, the lifetime repair warranty that they offer for customers it makes it an easy sale. And I like the products. I use the products personally on all of my vehicles, and I think that they're great. And I like selling maintenance too, so it just kind of works. So I just push it to everybody.
I love the BG services as well, and regardless of what service anybody uses, most of them have some kind of extended warranty. How many of you use that and piggyback off of that? We offer a free extended warranty on this, or however you want to word it, because that's huge, right? I mean, to be able to say that, comes with a whatever year warranty on that. Jared, I think this comment was meant to you. Bruce Nation said you should say that in a video and get it out. I think that's a great story as to your why. I mean, holy cow, you know, you're here to right the wrongs of what was done to you. I think that would be really powerful. So good idea. Good idea, Bruce. That's really awesome. Love that. Love that. Yeah, those services, I mean, make sure that you really have an understanding about the warranty, what is covered, what's not, and use that as part of your sale and the value proposition. Brian, you look like you want to say something.
Well, no, I just told most of them that it was going to be like a half an hour, 45, and we're already hanging out at 51. So.
All right, well, we're done then.
No, I mean, I really thank everybody for coming in. I really appreciate everything that y'all brought to it. Thank you so much for participating. It's huge. I know y'all are on the front counter and doing your job. So, you know, thank you for taking, you know, serious time away from your endeavors, especially right now, since I know we're cranking up.
And yes, thank you as well. Just what a wonderful job and what wonderful examples of what we have and what we can do, and the power of positivity and keeping your mind straight and knowing your product, right? Thank you all so much. And thank you, Brian, again for joining me. And we'll talk to you soon, everybody. Oh, don't forget, as they're hanging up, Thursday, 4:30, I want to just keep reminding you, we have the author of Profit First, Mike Michalowicz, is going to be doing a live Zoom with us with the Q&A on his new book, Fix This Next. So make sure you get that in your calendars, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.